Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. You know, every day in the news of late, we've been witnessing the tearing down of a Confederate statue. My question is, why are white Christians upset over this? One of the talking points I hear is that they're removing our history. Is it history or honor? And if it's honor, what are you honoring? Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. You know, it doesn't seem like it's been a month now since the world witnessed the horrific murder of George Floyd by the knee of a cop in the neck of this man till we saw him die. Well, the world seemed to have woken up with that, and it sparked protests all over the globe. It's as if the blinders have been taken off and the world is seeing what Black Americans have been saying all along, the racism and the police brutality that's targeted against African Americans. Well, as these things go, they kind of tend to spill over into other areas. And one of the areas is now people are targeting Confederate monuments, statues, and they're tearing them down. Now, I don't know if I always agree with the method by which they're doing. I did hear one of the Black Lives Matter say that the method of tearing them down as they are doing is getting the attention of people, getting the attention of the authorities. Okay, I'm not going to dispute that. But what I'm most curious is that why are white Christians so upset over the removal of these statues? Now, as I said, the talking point is that they're removing history. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am all for history. In fact, I don't know anyone who's not for the history. But tell the entire truth. The other thing is, do these statues tell the entire story? So here it is in a nutshell. The Confederate South was formed to rebel against the government of the United States over the issue of slavery. Now they would say, or I should say, modern revisionists would try to say it was states' rights. That's partially true because it's states' right for them to have the right to own slaves. And they rebel. Now, of course, the war issue, the Civil War issue, is more complex and more detailed, which we're not going to get into now. But make no mistake that the South sought to destroy the government of the United States and all over slavery. I often ask, what would happen if they had won? What would I be? Where would I be today? Probably somebody's slave. My family is from Mississippi, so probably from Mississippi. And who knows if I even been around, of course, if I even been born or how I've been born, because my mother is from Arkansas and my father is from Mississippi. I digress. But the point is that they sought to destroy and fought a hard-fought, the bloodiest war that America's ever fought over the issue of slaves. You have to also understand the brutality of slavery, that the South was willing to wage war. These statues of these men are not meant to be honored, certainly tell the history. Yes, tell the history, but honor for treason, honor for being traitors, honor for seeking to destroy the government of the United States. Here's another thought that you need to also consider. That understand that when we go back to the very essence of the Constitution, we hold these truths evident, that all men are created equal. The Confederacy was fighting against the Constitution of the United States. So what are you honoring? Are you going to, and by the way, let me just go back to this. Statues do not tell history. They are erected to give honor, praise, to commemorate. So you're commemorating traitors. And by the way, just so you know, there are 770 statues of the of monuments and over 1,800 Confederate symbols. That's amazing when you think about that. This was for a war that was fought. This was for a war. Think about that. Another thing you need to understand is that most of these statues were erected in decades after the war ended. They were in response to the civil rights movement. That's right. So what are they honoring? One statue, I got to tell you about this man. His name was Dr. Marion Sims. There's a statue of him, and I think they just pulled it down. He experimented on black slaves. Now think about this. This man was a surgeon, and he was trying to, I guess, I'm trying to be gentle here because it is quite horrific and brutal. That he experimented on childbirth, he experimented on vaginal, it is so horrific that that he would experiment on black women with no medicine, anesthesiologists. The brutality of this was just hideous. There's a statue to him. This is here's my point. This is what you're honoring when you erect a statue. Now, this man's story needed to be told. But to have a statue of him? See? And of course, there are people now that are targeting everything that is racist. And I want to say this. Should we not look at the origin of it? One of the other talking points that people say is, when will it stop? Well, it should stop when we could root out all of the vestiges of racism. It should stop when we can say, you know what? We should stop honoring and glorifying evil and wickedness. That's when it should stop. Of course, it never should have started. And that's the thing that I'm saying, with white Christians, what are you honoring? You know, in Germany, think about this. Would it be okay for them to have a statue of Hitler? Some of the generals of the SSS? How about Saddam Hussein? Remember his statue that was pulled down? And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it the American army that pulled that statue down? Should they have pulled down the statue of Saddam Hussein? You see, the point is that should we honor wickedness and evil? Now, the more horrific thought here is the retelling, the redefining of what is evil. Because if you say that these statues of these Confederate soldiers and the Confederate president, if you're saying that these are honorable men, and by the way, some people are saying that, if you're saying that these men are good and righteous, then we have another problem, don't we? We have a bigger problem than that. So the question is, again, why are they so upset? Because what is it? Is it history that you're preserving? Is it history? Because, by the way, history is not being lost. In fact, the pulling down these statues is going to bring even more attention to these men let's look at the real history. But I certainly would say we should not honor them. That's my perspective. And don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. Again, all comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.